你有没有发现，现在对男人的定义真的很奇怪？
I have found that society's definition of men has become very contradictory. When you have no money, women say you are a failure, but when you have money, some women say, men turn bad when they become rich. If you are not good-looking, women will criticize you for being greasy. If you are handsome, they might call you a pretty boy. If you are focused on your career, women will say you don't care about the family. But if you are too focused on the family, you might be accused of living off a woman. Nowadays, many girls' criteria for choosing a partner seem to be getting higher and higher. They want men to be both gentle and rich. What is going on in this world?
一个家庭里面，特别对于适婚的男孩子的家庭。
Yesterday, I made a statement that I believe reflects the reality for families with men of marriageable age. Whether they have a house, a car, and savings indirectly shows whether the family truly cares about their child's future. If a family doesn't have any savings when their child is of marriageable age, or hasn't even considered buying a house, I think we women should carefully consider whether it's worth marrying into such a family. Because if a family isn't even willing to invest in their own son, it means that after we marry into the family, we may face even more hardships. However, after I said this, some men started to argue with me. They claimed that if we use this standard, then women without a house or a car shouldn't be married by men either. I want to emphasize that society itself is unequal between men and women. Secondly, in the marriage market, we can't measure women by the same standards we use to measure men. In the workplace and society, we strive for gender equality, but in family and marriage, it's hard to achieve true equality. For women, the criteria for choosing a partner often include whether the man is responsible, has earning potential, and comes from a good family. But using the same criteria to judge women is obviously inappropriate. When men choose women, they usually focus more on appearance, body shape, personality, and whether she is thrifty and good at managing a household. For many girls, their original families might not have prepared a house or a car for them, especially under the traditional Chinese mindset of favoring sons over daughters, where parents are more willing to invest in their sons. And since Chinese parents often think that their daughters will eventually marry out, they generally don't prepare houses and cars for them. Therefore, a woman's lack of these material conditions doesn't mean she is inadequate, but rather reflects the mindset of her family. However, if a man thinks that a girl without a house and a car is unworthy of marriage, I find this very unfair. If you are going to judge women by the same standards used to judge men, then I feel that many girls in society won't be able to get married. In fact, most men hope to marry a wife who can take care of the family and children. I believe that men with a bit of capability wouldn't want to marry a career woman who is dominating in the workplace but indifferent to the family. So, those who demand that women provide the same conditions as men are often economically disadvantaged. Petty failures. They often complain about bride prices and dowries, using harsh standards to judge women, but in reality, this shows their incompetence. That said, if a woman is beautiful and financially capable, let me tell you, do you think she would be interested in a man of equal conditions? Of course not. She would definitely look for a man who is even more outstanding than she is. And this has been the rule for thousands of years. Men and women excel in different ways. A man's excellence is mainly reflected in his competitiveness in society, such as his ability to make money. A woman's excellence is in managing the household, living daily life, and raising children. So, I feel that men who judge women by the standards used to judge men are, frankly speaking, failures. These men can't bear even the smallest loss. They think that if they provide these things, then women must match them. If not, the woman is materialistic and selling her daughter. It's really frustrating. So, ladies, if you encounter a man who argues with you over every penny, don't bother with him. Because if a man has even a little bit of capability, he wouldn't say such things. It is precisely because he lacks capability that he makes such demands on you. Whenever I see such men, I find it so ridiculous. In fact, they are demanding such things from women because they are too weak and incompetent.
我老公说啊，一个女的蹲在路边吃饭，10个男的看到了。
My husband mentioned a social phenomenon that exists today. If a woman is squatting on the roadside eating, 10 men see her, and all 10 of them will feel sorry for her. But if a man is squatting on the roadside eating, 9 out of 10 women who see him might think he's poor. There are indeed double standards in this world, and it seems like women are treated more leniently. I think my husband has a point. For example, in marriage, if a woman doesn't work or earn money but stays home to take care of the kids, it's usually called supporting her husband and raising children. But if a man doesn't work and just stays at home, he would be seen as living off a woman or being incompetent. Another example is when a couple argues, the wife can say, "I married the wrong person," and the husband usually has to come for her. But if the husband says, "I married the wrong person," he might not even be allowed back into the house. So my husband suggested that we should start rejecting double standards in our family. I said, "Sure, no problem, honey. But double standards can also be unfair to women. For instance, now that I'm married, if I don't do housework every day, don't hang the clothes, and don't cook, people would say I don't know how to live properly. But if a man doesn't do housework, people think it's normal because, after all, isn't marrying a wife meant to share the housework?" So, I told my husband, "Honey, if we're going to start rejecting double standards in our family, then how about you cook dinner tonight?" Unexpectedly, my husband immediately said, forget it, let's just stick to double standards in our house." Actually, double standards have their good side too, and their existence makes life more harmonious.
Every man hopes that his wife is not only beautiful but also understanding, can be thrifty and manage the household well, and can cook delicious meals. Unfortunately, the law only allows marrying one wife. Similarly, every woman fantasizes about having a husband who is tall, better looking than a movie star, gentle and considerate at home, charming and elegant outside, both romantic and wealthy. Unfortunately, the law also only allows marrying one husband. So, men have their daydreams, and we women are no exception. The reality is, beautiful women often don't cook. Women who cook aren't necessarily gentle. Gentle women lack decisiveness. Women with decisiveness lack femininity. Women with femininity tend to overspend, and women who don't overspend may not be fashionable. Fashionable women make men uneasy, and women who make men feel secure might not be as pleasing to the eye. So, close enough is good enough. Men shouldn't ask for too much. After all, a woman who can take care of you, cherish you, and genuinely treat you well is already hard to find. If your standards are too high, you might as well go abroad to find a wife.
女人对待有钱男人和穷男人的态度。
In China, the difference in women's attitudes toward wealthy men and poor men is really quite amusing. For example, if you are a man from a wealthy family, a woman might say to you, "I don't need you to earn a lot of money and I don't need you to buy a house or a car. These things are not important to me. I just hope you can spend more time with me. I don't care about money because I don't spend much anyway. As long as you're home more often, as long as you love me, that's enough. What's the point of you working so hard to make money?" But if you're a man from a poor family, a woman might say to you, "I don't need your useless tenderness. What I need is for you to go out and make money to provide a better life for me and our children. What's the point of you spending all day in the kitchen, serving me tea and water? Look at my friends, aren't they all upgrading their homes and cars? And look at you, I feel like I was blind when I chose you. How could I have picked such a loser? Just look at you, you're absolutely speechless." This attitude is really laughable, but in reality, the situations men face are indeed different. Men from wealthy families, even if they don't work hard, can still live comfortably, and their material conditions are really very good. On the other hand, if a man from a poor family doesn't work hard to make money, it's hard to even maintain a basic living. Even if his woman doesn't criticize him, he still has to push himself to work hard, at least to ensure the family can eat. Forget about buying a house or a car, just surviving is already a challenge. Poor men don't have the luxury of choice. If he doesn't take responsibility, his children will inherit his struggles, living a similarly difficult life. So, it's not entirely the woman's fault for treating men differently. The reality is that men from wealthy families and men from poor families simply don't have the same choices. That said, even if your wife doesn't ask you to go out and earn money once you have a child, can you really not go out and work? Unless you are truly an irresponsible man, any responsible man after having a child, whether a daughter or a son, won't want their child to follow in their footsteps. They won't want their child to live a hard life like theirs. They hope their child can live at least a little more comfortably, so they'll work hard outside, right? However, not all poor men are responsible men. But to be honest, women can indeed be quite realistic. The difference in how they treat wealthy men versus poor men is truly significant, especially when it comes to second-generation wealthy men versus men at the bottom of society. The attitude difference is stark. Of course, a second-generation wealthy man doesn't need to work as hard because his family background already supports his life. Even if he's not a second-generation wealthy man, if he's from a well-off family with parents who have a high pension and several properties, a child growing up in such a family doesn't need to struggle as hard. For such a child, an ordinary job with a monthly salary of 5,000 to 7,000 yuan is enough for a comfortable life because they have family support. But for children from lower-income families, the pressure to earn money is immense. Without family support, they can only rely on their own efforts to change their lives. Even with a diploma or higher education, if they don't get lucky and land a good job, their only option is to work hard and at least ensure basic needs are met. Compared to children from wealthy families who don't have to chase money as fiercely, children from poor families must work hard, or else they won't even be able to meet their basic living needs. So, in this society, people are really different from each other. That's why women view wealthy men and poor men differently. This is a reality, and we can't entirely blame women for it.
女孩子在喜欢和不喜欢的人面前能有多双标？
In relationships, girls often show obvious double standards. They have completely different attitudes towards someone they like and someone they don't. When it's someone they like, it takes them only a second to reply to messages. Even if it's just a casual conversation, like when a guy she likes asks why lamb skewers from Xinjiang taste so good, the girl will eagerly reply, explaining that it's because of the quality of Xinjiang lamb, along with the unique cumin and chili powder seasonings. She might even recommend nearby restaurants and invite the guy to try them together. Even if the girl doesn't know the answer, she might take a screenshot and send it to her friends group, seeking opinions and support, just to keep the conversation going. But if it's a guy she doesn't like asking the same question, she might coldly reply, "Why don't you ask the lamb? Why ask me?" This double standard actually reflects the girl's subtlety and differential treatment in relationships. It's because of this difference that someone she likes stands out and the feelings become deeper. As the saying goes, love becomes stronger because of differences. Perhaps there is also such a special person in your heart, and your attitude towards them is also different.
In relationships, how obvious is the double standard for women? Have you ever observed closely? You will find that nowadays, when women face outsiders, they always present themselves as gentle, generous, easygoing, and considerate, giving the impression that they are virtuous and reasonable. However, once they return home and face their husbands, the situation is completely different. No matter what the husband does, it seems there is always something wrong to be found. If a woman feels wronged, no matter how small the matter is, she might explode immediately, giving the man no chance to breathe. If the man is slightly careless and fails to respond to her emotions in time, he can expect to be criticized. Not loving enough? Irresponsible? These accusations come pouring out like a flood, completely drowning the man. However, what if the situation is reversed, and today the man wants a little comfort and understanding? Most of the time, he might only get a casual reply from the woman. "Why are you, a grown man, being so sensitive?" You will find that society seems to have stricter expectations for men. Men must learn to endure, to be tolerant, and to always consider a woman's feelings first. Even if the wife loses her temper without reason, the man must apologize first. It seems that women have the privilege of expressing their emotions, while a man's responsibility is to silently endure and tolerate everything. Look at other aspects of life, and this double standard is everywhere. Let me give a simple example. When chatting with the opposite sex, a woman can claim it's just pure friendship, but if a man has even the slightest contact, he will be accused of having improper thoughts towards other women. On holidays, women expect flowers, gifts, and a sense of ceremony, but men don't dare to hope for even a word of thanks. In the workplace, if a woman earns less, it's often seen as acceptable or even admirable, living a simple life. But if a man doesn't meet a certain income standard or can't provide his wife with an ideal life, he's seen as incompetent and unable to support his wife. These seemingly reasonable expectations are actually men enduring, compromising, and suppressing their own emotions and needs. Friends watching this, perhaps you should learn to be kind to yourself. Don't let these invisible double standards crush your life and sense of self-worth.